So the weather in Texas was gorgeous, and I wanted to build something, but I didn't have any wood. So I found this scrap wood that was laying outside under a table. It had been outside for several years. It had been out through thunderstorms and ice apocalypses and triple-digit heat here in Texas, soaking up water and soaking up sun over and over for 4 years. And when I planed it down, I realized that it wasn't stable. So I decided to fill it with epoxy. And since I was filling it with epoxy, I thought we might just get some reflections in there somehow. So I thought, well, let's just throw some glitter in. And it worked so well. I researched all the different methods you could use to really increase the reflection within epoxy, and I landed on glitter. I think glitter is just remarkable because of all the variation that you get with all the different pieces and sizes. So I decided to make pockets for the front-facing inlays and the side dots. So it's just one pocket that basically does both. And I decided to stick with the glitter theme, but these are glow-in-the-dark glitter. And it came with this really cool black flashlight. And I needed to figure out how much glow-in-the-dark glitter was necessary to maintain the glow while encapsulated in the epoxy. Turns out it's about 30% glitter to epoxy ratio. And I wasn't really happy with the color, so I added some blue and some white, and it turned into this turquoise. So originally it was green, a lime green that didn't go well with the gold, but this kind of new turquoise works really well. And so it's basically just time to let it cure and then machine. And this machine's just like wood, if not better. I actually prefer machining resin because it doesn't create all those fine particles of wood. I love that it makes chips, so resin actually machines just like wood. And this is right off the machine. So now we gotta make the neck. The neck is this, again, wood that's been under this table for 4 years, and it turns out it's a piece of walnut. And so I just did the normal thing. Add some carbon graphite reinforcement rods, add a truss rod channel, and just start machining. And I realized that since we're adding all the reinforcement rods and putting on essentially a 50% resin fretboard, I figured this would be pretty stable. I didn't think it would move as much as it normally would without the reinforcement rods or resin fretboard. And then it's time for glue up, and I use surgical tubing. This is the best method to use to get really uniform pressure across the board. And then it's just scraping until we get some even sides. Just use Stanley razor blades. And then all through the grits, all the way up to 10,000 grit on that fretboard. And that gets you a crystal clear, transparent finish. So all those scratches are out. And then we use Rubio Monocoat. This is a hard wax oil. It allows you to put a coating onto your wood, and it's only one coat, and it cures pretty fast. And it just looks gorgeous, and it smells fantastic too. Really can't beat this board. And this is something I'll be exploring in the future, because now it just doesn't make sense to make a fretboard just out of wood. There's just so many more possibilities with resin and with the things you can put inside resin. So this is going to be really the new method going forward. And of course, they glow in the dark. And they glow in the dark very well. You don't need the black light. You just go into the sun or just any kind of normal lighting will make them glow. Now it's time to design the body. And I designed this to accommodate the 21mm thick wood that we're going to be using, which is also trash wood. So this is sort of like my take on a laminated guitar, where you have thickness where you need it, and you have the negative space where you don't, or the thin 21mm where you don't need the thickness. I think it's a gorgeous shape. So what I do is I individually print out everything so that I can lay it onto the wood and fit it all so I can orient it, rotate it, twist it, turn it, to figure out where this is going to go on the scrap wood, and I can avoid all the knots, avoid all the cracks, etc. And then it's just simply time to machine. There was a lot of tear out in this wood because it was so rotted, so I actually planed some of that rot off the front and the back, and it revealed this kind of really pretty finish. Of course, it was twisted and warped, so the planing didn't really make it flat, and I never intended on making it flat. But the machining came out pretty good. I did get a couple of cracks in there, but that's okay. And then my method for laminating them was just to use steel pins for alignment, and then epoxy again to really kind of adhere them together. It was the first time I used this method. It works out really well too. It's very messy, so epoxy is just messy. It gets everywhere, and you have to really do a lot of wiping, but this is an epoxy finish as well, so all the pieces got a coat of epoxy, and then I wiped it off. So it's okay, the epoxy gets in there. We wanted to kind of soak in and really get that resin to reinforce the wood. And then I decided to make some cosmetic pieces out of gloss black acrylic on the laser and carbon fiber. So this is real carbon fiber. This is just prefab. And I cut it all out to really get that juxtaposition of wood and the modern kind of feel of carbon fiber and the high gloss black acrylic. And it just looks so good. I did some cosmetic pieces for the front as well, and 3D printed my direct mount humbucker mount system here, so the humbucker can directly mount to the wood. Black tusk nut. And then here we go, show and tell. And let's have a demo.